And now the Greeks and the Trojans fight for that body.
Menelaus tells someone to go and tell Achilles what's happened, as that'll set him right off, and he'll at last come out and fight, while the Ajaxes protect those who are bearing Patroclus' body back to the Greek camp, as Antilochus finds Achilles and tells him that Patroclus has fallen. Achilles has something of a mental breakdown. He rubs dirt all over his face and cries out so loudly that his mother and all her mermaids hear. And Achilles, surrounded now by mermaids, has his mother cradle his head and ask him what is wrong. My best friend is dead. I wish I were never born. My spirit rebels. I have lost the will to live, to take my stand in the world of men, unless before all else Hector's battered down by my spear and gasps away his life. Thetis tells him now of his fate. Hard on the heels of Hector's death must yours too come at once.
Good, says Achilles, let me die at once.
I sit here by the ships, a useless dead weight on the good green earth, if only strife could die from the lives of gods and men, and anger that drives the sanest man to flare in outrage, bitter gall, sweeter than dripping streams of honey that swarms in people's chests and blinds like smoke. Achilles is a proto-Hamlet.
I'm going to meet that murderer head on, and I shall meet freely my own death. His mother says, go on then. Put your armour on and get out there.
Exactly, you don't have any. Wait until tomorrow, I'll get you a new shield. And off she goes to Mount Olympus and gets an entirely new suit of armour directly off Hephaestus, the god of fire and craftsmanship. Rearmed, Achilles yells out to Agamemnon that he is not mad at him anymore. Let us kill Trojans together. As he gets into his chariot, his horses remind him that he is doomed to die very soon. Yes, his horses. Thank you, horses, for reminding me. While back up on Mount Olympus, Zeus calls all the gods to a council and says, I'm pretty sure Achilles is so pissed off that he might actually defy fate, which is not a good thing. So I'm now allowing a free-for-all. All of you down to earth and help whoever you want.
Apollo tells Hector not to fight Achilles in the open or he will kill him.
Achilles then kills Hector's youngest brother and, still enraged, charges at Hector. Every time Achilles goes to stab him, Hector gets picked up by an Apollonian whirlwind and disappears. Achilles decides that since he can't kill Hector, he'll just kill everybody else. And he begins to. And in Book 21 he kills so many Trojans that the Iliad ends up with the same body count as Saving Private Ryan. 255 people dead. So many dead Trojans that Achilles even clogs up a river with their bodies, and the river now picks a fight with him. And Achilles wrestles and stabs at the river for quite some time, and almost loses until he cries out to Zeus, are you fucking serious, Zeus? A river. I am a hero. So Hera sends Hephaestus to deal with the river, and Hephaestus burns pretty much everything in sight to dry it up and stop it from badgering our Achilles. Priam sees that Achilles is killing all of his beloved Trojans and orders the city gates to be opened to allow his men to retreat, while Apollo jumps into the fight to distract Achilles as they do retreat. All of the Trojans back into Troy except for Hector. Hector stands outside the gates and waits for Achilles to come, despite his father yelling at him to please not do that, and his mum even pulling a tit out and saying, I gave you a tit. Have some respect for the tit. Get back inside, Hector. But he won't have it, and after considering a parley with Achilles, he decides instead to just start running. And he runs along the city walls, is chased by Achilles. He does 3 laps of Troy, sprinting away, until Athena gets in his ear, pretending to be his brother. And she tells Hector to stand and fight. So he does. He throws his spear with everything he's got, and he hits Achilles' shield, then yells out for his brother to pass him another one. He turns and sees that his brother is not there, and he realizes what has happened. He knows he is a dead man. Well, let me die, he says, but not without struggle, not without glory, no. In some great clash of arms that even men to come will hear of down the years. Fame, Kleos. He draws his sword, and Hector and Achilles charge at one another. Achilles surveys his own armour, figuring out where he's going to stab Hector, and he hits him in the throat. Still able to talk, Hector says, Please, 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 "Give my body back to the Trojans so they can bury me properly." And Achilles says, "Go fuck yourself." Hector says, "You bah!" But he dies. Achilles pulls his spear out of his neck, takes off his own armour from Hector's body, then by the ankles tethers him to his chariot, and whips his talking horses into running, and drags Hector's body back to the Greek camp, and flings him into the dust beside Patroclus. The Greeks feast and fall asleep, and Patroclus' ghost now appears to Achilles in a dream, pleading to be buried as soon as possible, as they won't let him into Hades. He reminds Achilles that he is soon to die here too. Poor Achilles is always being reminded that he's about to die. He then asks that they be buried together once Achilles has been killed. They build a funeral pyre 100 feet long, lay Patroclus' body on it, wrap it in folds of sheep and cow fat, then heap the flayed carcasses around him. They throw the bodies of 4 horses onto the pyre, then 2 dogs, and the dismembered bodies of 12 Trojans. Quite the barbecue. And Achilles swears that dogs will eat Hector's corpse, though Aphrodite prevents this from happening. Achilles prays to the winds to light the pyre, and they do, and up it goes, and in the morning they hold funeral games, sponsored by Achilles. There's a chariot race, which is very much like the pod race in Star Wars Episode 1. Too long and unnecessary, but the Greeks were obsessed with competitive sports, the Olympic Games, etc. Then a boxing match, a running race, sword fight, shot put, javelin, archery, a Homeric heptathlon. Still grieving, Achilles continues to strap Hector to his chariot and drag his body around the tomb, and, horrified by this spectacle, the gods argue about stealing Hector's body and returning it to Troy. Zeus instead decrees that Achilles will receive a ransom from Priam and that he should give the body back. Which plan Thetis tells Achilles, and Iris tells Priam, who assembles the ransom against his wife's wishes. They load it onto a mule cart, attach it to Priam's chariot, and out through the gates of Troy he goes, escorted all the way by Hermes, unseen, through the Greek camp to Achilles. He enters Achilles' tent and entreats him. "I fathered hero sons in the wide realm of Troy, and now not a single one is left. 50 sons I had when the sons of Greece came, 19 born to me from a single mother, and the rest by other women in the palace. The fertile old bugger, pity me in my own right. Remember your own father, Achilles. I deserve more pity, for I have endured what no one on earth has ever done before. I put to my lips the hands of the man who killed my son." And both of them break down in tears. Before Achilles has his men take the ransom off the cart, then has Hector's body anointed with oil, wrapped in cloth, and he places him on a bier and lifts that back onto Priam's cart. They feast, and Achilles asks how long Priam needs to bury his son, "For I shall hold the Greeks back until then." Priam says 11 days. It's quite specific. For mourning, feasting, and burial, Priam sleeps, but Hermes wakes him and says it's too dangerous to sleep here, and out Priam rides as dawn approaches, and he enters Troy with Hector's body. Andromache laments over it, Hecuba, his mother, laments over it, Helen laments over it. Priam orders the Trojans to bring timber into the city, and for 9 days they do. Then on the 10th they place Hector's body upon a pyre and light it. Then they gather his bones and put them in a golden chest and bury it, and they feast. And so the Trojans buried Hector, tamer of horses. That is the Iliad. That is the Iliad. 2,800 years old. All that could be remembered of the vanished Mycenaean civilization, with its horse sacrifices and wife nappings by the ancient Greeks, with their goat sacrifices and their wife nappings. In the year 800 BC, the heroic world at war. One of the 2 poems that would form the basis of the education of Greece, and through the Greeks, the Romans, for the next 1,000 years. And the world of Homer, the beginning of Greek and Western history, is week 1 of the new Cavalier Reading Society's Cavalier Introduction to Ancient Greece, wherein you will become familiar with all these glorious Homeric themes while discussing them with a global society of culturally minded individuals and with a novelist as your tutor.
So the Trojans buried Hector, tamer of horses.